Welcome to this episode of Tech News While Driving on March 1st, 2016. I'm your host, Tony Hannity. And first thing on the news today, it seems as though the next major update for the PlayStation 4 will finally include remote play for both Mac and PC. Now, this is not unlike to the feature that on Windows 10, you can stream your games from your Xbox to your Windows 10 machine. It's still in alpha stages. In fact, the next minor update is a beta, which itself doesn't include remote play, but it does include some of the firmware minimals to support remote play on both Mac and PC. So this is good. This is very good, at least for those of you that have a PC or a Mac. Whereas Windows 10, it has to be Xbox to Windows 10. This, it doesn't really matter. I'm assuming, you have to have a fairly decent computer, Mac or PC, to be able to support this. But imagine all the games that you would be able to play on your computer that you can't play right now, or ones that are available on computer, you just don't want to buy it double because you already have it on your PlayStation 4. So for those of you that are out there that are waiting for this, that have heard about this since November, it is finally coming around the corner, although Sony themselves have not given us a definitive date as to when that might be released. But stay tuned for that. Something's in the air and it's making me sneeze and I don't like it. So I want to give you guys some word of advice. I know if you're probably watching this, I don't need to tell you, but if you have a family member or a friend of yours that looks to you to, what's the next phone should I upgrade to, and is it going to be old by the time they get it? Let me just say this. You're never going to be ahead of the curve unless you're part of the press, or if you're somebody that is on the actual design team of the actual phone. But the fact of the matter is, once a phone is released, that company is already working on the next phone. In fact, they're already probably working on next year's phone before this phone itself is being released. So let's take Samsung and the Galaxy S7. Now, we've actually seen leaks about the S7 even before the Note 5 was announced. So it's not uncommon for companies to do this. I mean, if you know how design companies work and their iterative upgrades, it's an ongoing process. It's not just one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. Sometimes they're worked on at the same time. So there were a lot of phones that were announced at Mobile World Congress. And in fact, there's still some phones coming out this year that haven't yet been announced, including the Note 6, or if we take a step back, the next M10. There were some leaks today that kind of speculated as to what the HTC M10 resolution on their camera is going to be. I didn't actually read the article, to be honest with you, but I saw the title. And so we know that it's coming out. In fact, we got something in the email from HTC last week that said the power of 10. They're talking about the M10. We know this, but we don't know what it looks like specifically. We don't really know a lot of the specifications about it. But does that matter? We have two phones that are already announced that are going to go to major carriers when Telus is worldwide and telcos worldwide. For Samsung, you got the S7 and S7 Edge, so you get two choices right there. And from LG, you got the LG G5 with all their modular friends. Those are really, in my opinion right now, those are really the only ones you need to worry about. Unless you're a complete HTC fanboy, you're getting the HTC Vive, you're wearing an Under Armour HTC band, and I don't know, whatever else, you're using the HTC Re every single day of your life. If you're that person, then yes, wait for HTC. But I don't see any reason for you to have to wait. If you are intrigued by the phones that are out now, and you can afford it, and you're available for an upgrade, or you just want to buy it outright without contract, just go ahead and get it. There's never going to be a time where you can definitively say, this is the best phone of 2016. Because by the time that 2016 is almost over and done with, you're going to already be internally thinking about what's coming out in 2017. And then it's going to be for naught. So look at the landscape of what we have right now. In my opinion, I would just forget about HTC. I'm sorry, HTC. I haven't written you off completely. Obviously, the HTC Vive is very, very important to the VR ecosystem, so to speak, in that competition. But at least on their handset side, the Desire is great for like mid-range and low level. Ooh, that's a cool looking car. I wish I could show you. But with regard to their flagships, they just, ever since the M7 came out, after that, they were just disappointing. So, I don't know. Am I being too hard on them? Or or do you think you should wait till May? Or April or May? Is that a good time to wait? Let me know. What do you think? Or, just let me know. Today, Google announced that Google I/O registration will be opening up on May 8th and closing on May 10th. Now, just like past years, even if you have the appropriate amount of money to invest in Google I/O, which is $900 for a standard ticket or $300 if you're a student, there's still going to be a lottery. I don't know if it's anything like Comic-Con, where if you've gone previous years, you get a little bit of quote-unquote special treatment or priority. But in any event, you can definitely be sure that this is not going to be like any other Google I/O. If you're not aware, this year's Google I/O is actually going to be held at the Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View. Incidentally, this is just in their backyard. It's literally a stone's throw away. But the Shoreline Amphitheater is that. It's an amphitheater. It's not really a place for a developers conference, although Google stated that they had some sort of celebration for Android there, or at least for Google, a few years back. They're still calling it Google I/O, and so I don't, instead of Alphabet I/O, so I don't think we're going to get anything from the other Alphabet companies that Alphabet invests in. But they are calling this a developer. They are calling this a developer festival. So it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I'm personally not going to be able to go due to a number of things. But that's all we really know right now. Are you going? Let us know. So Google now officially has a section on their Google Play Store where you can buy virtual reality headsets or Google Cardboard approved headsets. So if you haven't yet gotten any kind of free promo of Google Cardboard and you're okay with spending some money, go to Google's website through their Play Store. You can go ahead and buy one officially. Now, in addition to that, if you're in Sweden, McDonald's is trying out something which is kind of cool, where you can actually get a specialized Happy Meal for just an additional $4.15, where the Happy Meal box itself folds into a Google Cardboard handset. Now, this is a trial, and then they're only giving it away at certain McDonald's in Sweden just over the weekend, over the next few weeks. But this is a kind of cool idea. I mean, how many times have you given a Google Cardboard to a kid and they are just gone for the next couple of, well, I wouldn't say hours, but at least for the next few minutes, just to keep them occupied? It's a lot of fun for kids. It might be fun for you. Why don't you let me know? Is this something that you would be interested in getting? Today, DJI announced that their next drone, the Phantom 4, is going to be available. At $1,399, this is not the drone for your average user, but more than just hobbyists, this is like a cinematographer getting something like of a Red Dragon, so to speak. Thousands of dollars worth of equipment for a drone. Essentially a high-end toy. It is amazing, though. This drone can essentially fly itself. It has avoidance systems because now it has 5 cameras. You got 2 in the front, 2 on the bottom, and then your standard 4K camera right in the center like you've had in the past. There's also some other upgraded features basically that allow you to set a max distance as to how high the drone can go, and like I mentioned, its own avoidance system. We've seen in the past this happen with a couple of other drones, more in R&D though, wherein that if there's something in the way, the drone itself has the ability for it to, well, get out of the way and not hit anybody. This is what I needed about a week ago when I decided to fly my first drone out in the open and got cocky and it went way, 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 way too high. And I thought I was able to catch it back, and then the wind decided to say, no, I'm taking it the exact opposite direction of where you are. So what this means for me is my next drone, it's going to cost more than just $300. It's going to cost me at least $1,399. So in any event, it is what it is, but I'm excited because the more this technology gets out into the consumer products, and although it is expensive right now, the cheaper it is going to be later on. We're seeing drones that were, 3 years ago, $400. Now they're only $100. So who knows how much a drone of this kind of capability is going to be 4 years from now? What kind of technology is going to be in those drones 4 years from now? And are we okay with calling them drones instead of just quadcopters? Or is calling them drones kind of super sexy in a way? Are you sexy? Yesterday, the HTC Vive went on sale for $799, which included all the things. Today, according to a tweet by one of the executives at HTC, they sold through 15,000 units in just 10 minutes. Now, if you do some back of the napkin calculation, that's grossing about $12 million. Well, I'm not one to say, I told you so. And I'm not even saying, I told you so. But it just goes to show you that for those who wait, good things may come. And although the Oculus Rift is very good in its own right, it seems as though a lot more people have been waiting for the Vive. And each headset has their own benefits, obviously, but I'm definitely much more keen toward the Vive as it stands right now. Looking back at CES when they announced the pre-order ship date for the Oculus Rift, Palmer Luckey didn't give any kind of details, but he did tell Polygon that within the first 10 minutes, they had sold out. Now, one could argue that means they only had a few thousand to sell, meaning selling out was just kind of a much easier feat. But then you could say that this was something that people have been waiting for the past 4 or 5 years, ever since their Kickstarter project. So I'm going to go ahead and be a part of the camp that they had more than just a few thousand to sell. And at $599, if you are into VR and you want to be one of the first to try it out, why wouldn't you buy it? Of course. You can get away with not using the Oculus Touch handhelds, and you can use the controllers on the mouse and keyboard, a joystick, or the Xbox One controller that comes with it. Definitely. But as it stands right now, just off of pure numbers and cost, it seems like the Vive is winning so far. We'll see how it goes with PlayStation VR and, of course, with augmented reality with the HoloLens. But congratulations, HTC. Are you going to get any of these? And I believe I asked this question yesterday. Are you interested? If you just were given the money just to go spend it, which one would you spend it on? Or would you run away and cower and spend it on French fries and donuts? Let us know. So some sad news today if you're a fan of Sword Art Online and VR. Apparently last week there was a report that went out where IBM was working with the creators of Sword Art Online to create a VR experience of Sword Art Online. If you're not familiar with the manga or the anime, essentially it's a VR world. It's a VR MMO in the cartoon, in the comic. And what makes it a little bit different versus what we have for VR today is that in the comic, the character would put on these VR glasses, lay down in bed, and all of this virtual experience would happen somewhat in the brain, and which I don't know why they necessarily need goggles if they're just going to pretty much dream it all. But in any event, having a VR experience of Sword Art Online, at least the way that we see VR in the real world, would still be pretty cool. Sword Art Online is a fantasy kind of world, so you've got swords, you've got archers, there's spears, there's fairies, there's, the things that you would expect from a fantasy themed anime and manga. But IBM did clarify that they're not doing one for public consumption. Essentially, they're doing one for a closed group of individuals, and it's going to be a standalone experience, but it's not going to be one that you can go out and buy in a couple of months. So a little sad there, but hopefully with enough public outcry, IBM and the production crew that actually does the development for this might actually change their mind. So go on Reddit, tell them we need SAO in VR, because I'm a big SAO fan myself. Not really into manga, but you take those two things, or rather, sorry, not into MMOs. Very big into manga, but you take those two things, I would throw down. I wouldn't buy it, but I would definitely play it and more than likely enjoy it, and maybe even get a workout out of it. So guys, I'm at my daughter's school, just getting ready for a meeting. But the last thing I want to talk about today is if you have a Huawei watch, which is one of these guys here, we have been patiently waiting for the Marshmallow update, which they announced sometime in, I want to say, January? Maybe February, but I believe it was January. Nevertheless, they announced it earlier in the year, and they said it was coming. Now today, according to Droid Life, that rollout for the OTA update is starting today. So I just checked my watch. I haven't gotten it yet, but please be patient for us. We are more than likely going to be doing a review of it so you can see what the update really implies. For me personally, one of the biggest improvements on the update is the fact that the Huawei watch does have a speaker, so if I wanted to, I could go back to my Dick Tracy ways and talk to my wife using my watch. So don't know how annoying that's going to be for other people around me, but it'd probably be just as annoying as me listen to other people's conversations when they are on speakerphone. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much for watching today's episode. If you like this video, please like it in the bottom, subscribe to the channel, make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and of course now Instagram, Google Plus as well too, but you know how that is. You guys take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.